Every year, insurance companies declare approximately 4.5 million vehicles a total loss in the United States. A portion of those vehicles have bent frames and crumpled engine bays that belong in a crusher. But a large portion of them were written off because of a formula, not because of actual damage. The formula is simple, and it has nothing to do with whether the truck still runs. When the cost of repair exceeds a threshold, typically 70 to 80% of the vehicle's assessed value, the insurance company declares it a total loss, pays the owner a settlement check, and takes possession of the vehicle. The truck is then branded with a salvage title and sold at a salvage auction for 20 to 40 cents on the dollar. Insurance companies are not in the business of repairing trucks. They are in the business of closing claims fast and moving on. The moment a truck becomes a total loss on their books, it is a liability they need gone by the end of the week. That urgency creates one of the most consistent pricing inefficiencies in the used vehicle market. And the mechanics who understand the formula have been walking through that gap for decades. Here is what the formula actually produces. A 2020 Ram 1500 Laramie with 38,000 miles gets rear-ended at a stoplight. The other driver's insurance assesses the damage. The repair estimate comes back at $14,200. The truck's actual cash value in the insurer's system is $36,400. The repair-to-value ratio is 39%, well under the total loss threshold in most states. The insurer pays the claim, repairs the truck, and the owner drives it home. Now run the same scenario in a state with a 70% threshold, but the damage estimate is $19,800, and the insurer's ACV is $27,500. Ratio, 72%. Total loss. The truck is not destroyed. The frame is straight. The engine starts. The airbags did not deploy. The damage is a crushed rear bumper, a bent tailgate, a smashed tail lamp assembly, and a cracked bed panel. A body shop would charge $19,800 because labor rates in that market are $185 an hour, and every replacement part is OEM priced. The insurance company writes the owner a check for $27,500, takes the title, and sends the truck to a Copart salvage auction in 6 days. It sells for $9,100. The winning bidder picks it up on a flatbed, drives it to his shop, spends $3,400 in aftermarket and pull-apart bed components, and has a fully operational 2020 Ram 1500 Laramie with 38,000 miles for $12,500 all in. That truck will retail on Facebook Marketplace with a disclosed rebuilt title for $21,000 next month, and a private buyer who knows what they are looking at will buy it in 3 days. The salvage title has a reputation problem that the insurance industry actively cultivates. Every piece of consumer education around salvage vehicles emphasizes danger, hidden damage, and resale difficulty. Some of that concern is legitimate. We will get to it. But the narrative exists primarily because the insurance industry profits from low salvage auction prices. If retail consumers understood how to evaluate salvage vehicles and competed at auction, recovery values would rise, total loss settlements would cost more, and the entire write-off economics would shift against the insurer. The current system depends on salvage buyers being a small, specialized population. The industry needs you afraid of the salvage title. Your fear is their margin. There are 2 categories of salvage vehicle, and you must never confuse them. The first category is structural damage, bent frame rails, collapsed firewall, compromised unibody geometry. These vehicles are genuinely dangerous. The structural integrity of the passenger compartment has been altered. No amount of bodywork makes them right. A frame that has been straightened on a machine is not the same as a frame that was never bent. The repair conceals the event, but does not erase the metallurgical stress. You do not buy these vehicles. You do not repair these vehicles. You leave them for the scrappers. The second category is cosmetic and component damage. Hail strikes, flood events with documented water lines below the firewall, rear collision damage that did not reach the cab, fire damage limited to an engine bay component, or theft recovery vehicles where the stereo was pulled and the ignition column was cracked. These vehicles have salvage titles because of accounting, not because they are destroyed. Learning to distinguish between these two categories is the entire skill set. Everything else is execution. Hail damage vehicles deserve special attention because they represent the purest version of the insurance accounting loophole. A severe hailstorm rolls through a dealer lot in Fort Worth or Oklahoma City and dimples the hoods, roofs, and trunk lids of 200 vehicles. No mechanical damage, no structural damage. Every system works perfectly. But the cost of pulling 600 individual dents through a paintless dent repair process exceeds the insurer's threshold on the higher value units. Those trucks become total losses on paper. A 2021 Silverado High Country with 12,000 miles and hail damage across the roof and hood sells at a Copart auction for $19,000 to $23,000. The retail value of that truck before the storm was $58,000. A qualified PDR technician charges $2,800 to $4,200 to work every dent on a moderately hailed vehicle. Some marks on the roof edge may remain if the metal is too tight to reach. The resulting truck has a rebuilt title, 12,000 miles, a fully intact drivetrain, zero frame damage, and a market value of $34,000 to $38,000 when disclosed honestly to a private buyer who can see the vehicle in person. The insurer wrote it off for a fraction of its value because dent repair is labor-intensive and closing the claim fast was worth more than maximizing the asset. The mechanic who bought it at auction has just captured $15,000 to $19,000 in equity from a hailstorm he did not experience. Here is the execution system. Step 1 is registration. Copart and IAAI, Insurance Auto Auctions, are the two dominant salvage auction platforms in the country. Both operate physical auction yards in every major metro and run simultaneous online bidding. To bid directly, you need a dealer license in most states. The path to that license was covered in the last video, a surety bond and a state dealer application, typically under $500 combined. If you are not ready to go that route, both platforms offer broker access through licensed buyer services for a flat fee of $300 to $500 per vehicle, plus the auction buyer's premium. Factor that into your ceiling math. Step 2 is inspection before you bid. Copart and IAAI both post photo sets for every vehicle, some thorough, some deliberately incomplete. The photos will show you what is obviously wrong. They will not show you the inside of the frame rails, the condition of the floor pans, or whether the front subframe mounting points have been stressed. For any vehicle above $8,000, you want a pre-bid inspection from a mobile mechanic who can meet the transporter at the yard. Both platforms allow third-party inspections. Budget $150 for the inspection. It is the cheapest insurance you will buy. Step 3 is the title process. When you win a salvage auction vehicle, you receive a salvage title. You cannot legally register it for road use in that condition in most states. You must repair it to a defined standard, then apply for a rebuilt salvage title through your state DMV. The rebuilt title inspection process varies by state. Texas requires a certified vehicle inspection at a licensed inspection station. California requires a brake and light inspection and a referee inspection at a Bureau of Automotive Repair station. Some states require photographic documentation of all replaced parts before and after repair. The process takes 2 to 6 weeks, depending on your state's backlog. The resulting rebuilt title is permanent. It follows the vehicle forever. A rebuilt title suppresses resale value by 20 to 30% compared to a clean title equivalent. That suppression is already baked into what you paid at auction. You were not being punished by the rebuilt title. The previous owner absorbed that penalty the day the insurance company cut the check. You already paid the discounted price. The rebuilt title is not your problem. It was your discount. The traps that destroy first-time salvage buyers are all traceable to one failure: buying on price without inspecting the category. A 2019 Ford F250 Super Duty with a salvage title at $14,000 sounds like a Video 7 depreciation cliff play on top of a salvage discount. Run the loss report. If the title event was a rollover at highway speed, the cab structure absorbed forces across multiple axes simultaneously. The A-pillars, B-pillars, and roof rail are all compromised. The repair cost to bring that structure back to factory specification is not calculable in a body shop environment. It requires factory jig fixtures that independent shops do not own. That truck will never be structurally correct. Walk away from rollovers, regardless of how clean they look in the photos. Walk away from front impact damage where the engine moved rearward. Firewall intrusion is not visible in photos, and it means the cab geometry has shifted. Walk away from flood titles where the waterline reached the dashboard. Electrical corrosion on a modern truck develops over 18 to 24 months and will strand you on a Tuesday morning 2 years after you thought you bought a deal. The category discipline is the entire game. Hail, rear impact, minor fire, theft recovery, vandalism. These are your hunting grounds. Rollover, front structural, major flood, fire that reached the cabin. These go to the crusher. Never confuse the two categories for the sake of a low opening bid. The mechanics who run this system consistently do not think of themselves as risk takers. They think of themselves as people who learn to read an insurance company's accounting decision faster than a retail buyer can read a window sticker. The insurance company did not write off that Ram 1500 because it was dangerous. They wrote it off because their labor rate matrix said repair was not cost-effective at scale. That judgment was made by an adjuster working 40 files a day. It was not made by someone who looked at the frame. It was not made by someone who started the engine. Your job at the auction is simply to do the inspection the adjuster never did, and verify that the accounting decision left you a functional, repairable truck at a price the market will never offer on a clean title vehicle. The gap between what the insurer needed to get rid of it and what it is actually worth is not luck. It is a permanent feature of a system that values speed over recovery. Show up with cash, a code scanner, and the discipline to walk away from the wrong category, and that gap belongs to you every single week. The next video covers the specific make and model combinations where salvage repairs are straightforward and the parts are cheap and abundant, and the models where a salvage event triggers a hidden cascade of electronic failures that will not appear on any inspection until after you have already registered the title. You need that list before you register your first auction account. Watch it before you bid on anything. Subscribe to Truck Navigator. We follow the insurance adjuster's math so you know exactly when their loss becomes your gain.